Got a nice McDonald's mukbang for you today, giving you guys an update. I don't want to cry. Subpar. I have autism as well as ADHD. Oh god, the whole time I was setting that camera up, there was someone in their car watching me.
Can we get it today?
Hi, I've got the online order on
the Asd+Adhd?
Yes.
Drop them down.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See you later.
Okay, we've got a nice little spot on a rooftop. It is a bit glary, so I've put my visor down, which I'm sorry if that's annoying. But I'm starting off with my beautifully cold ice cream, M&M ice cream. That is so good. So as you can see, got a nice McDonald's mukbang for you today. I talked about it recently on Instagram about giving you guys an update, and I wasn't sure on what platform how it was going to happen, or sorry, which content idea it was going to happen in. I did a recent vlog which touched on the topic, but I think a nice collated video update from the last big video update was the way to go, to give you a big update to fill in the pieces. So yeah, that's my plan today. This is melting quickly. It's also getting really hot in here. Hold on. Let's see what I got today. So, I mean, I know what I got, but you don't. I got a large chips, which is very much ripped off. Like, sorry, that's a medium in a large box. You can F off with that. Subpar. That location is usually really good. And given that it's midday, large vanilla Coke. Gorgeous. Had a little moment there where I was like, oh my god, is McDonald's Monopoly back? I love McDonald's Monopoly. I got a double cheeseburger. Forgot to ask for a steamed bun. Rookie error. And then I also got the deal of the day, which was 6 nuggets. Oh, they forgot my freaking sauce. Do they ever supply the sauce though? I even told myself when I ordered it, I was like, make sure you remember to ask them for the sauce because they won't remember. How have you been? I missed you. I don't know how much new information there will be in this video, because if you do sort of follow me on the podcast and other content like TikTok and IG and all the things, I have scattered information amongst all of those. So anyway, I have recently, I think I updated this in the last vlog. Anyway, if you didn't watch the vlog, you're not gonna know. I recently realized that I have autism as well as ADHD. Commonly known when you have the pairing, AuDHD, I think that's what they say. So that has been a huge adjustment. That's putting it lightly. I'm still right now processing things. Like, it's gonna be a forever thing. But overall, it's been positive because it's now allowed me to understand this part of myself that I didn't know, which sounds really like deep and meaningful, but it's true. Like, I always knew there was something else or something different about myself than other people, but I didn't realize what. And so it's kind of like helped me to pick those pieces and put them together. So right now I'm in the phase of deciding if I want a formal diagnosis, if I need a formal diagnosis. The only reason I think that I'm desiring the formal diagnosis, well, it's not the only reason, but it's the main reason, is to be able to have the right help moving forwards with strategies on how to survive. As dramatic as that sounds. The person you're seeing now is me, but it's a filtered, masked version of myself to portray that I'm okay. It's a challenge. Every day is a challenge. There's so many things on my list that align with the symptoms that I'm now really starting to realize are undiagnosed autism traits. And yeah, it's been very overwhelming. Every single day I'm having realizations and having to process those realizations, link them to certain things, and this is very hard to explain, but essentially relive traumas back to childhood. things that I would do that I didn't realize were this. And then I have to go, when else have I done that in my life? I wonder if this is a consistent pattern, to then prove to specialists like, oh, I did that in childhood as well as now, but they look different, right? Because symptoms are different at different ages, and traits can be different in different times of your life. The more I'm becoming aware of these symptoms or traits that I have, the harder life is becoming in some ways and easier in other ways. Like easier in a sense of like, oh, that's not what everyone else does. Like that's interesting, and it allows me to understand myself more, because I've always felt like I didn't know who Katie was. Like I mimic people all the time, and I have my whole life to be liked. And so I never knew what my likes were, who I was, who I am. Like I'm still going through this process and I still don't know. But as I learn these things about myself, I'm like, oh, okay, that's genuinely me. Now I've forgotten the point to mentioning that. Fuck. Let's take a left turn for a second. Let's open up the burger. Even right now, in this moment, I feel like constantly aware and self-aware. Oh, that's right. It was because I was talking about the more that I know about myself, the more nervous I am to be myself, because I don't have the strategies and the support to work through them from specialists who get this. And it's such an underdiagnosed thing as well. Like, you know, being born in the 90s and growing up in the 90s, autism didn't exist in women, and so a lot of women are now being late diagnosed. And sorry, I'm just wiping all the ketchup off my burger. A lot of women are being late diagnosed because they're now realizing that that's what autism is. And, you know, not just ADHD and not just being a loud, chatty person, you know. Even talking in this video, I feel like I'm sharing too much, or it's too much about me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds ridiculous because, of course, I'm the only person in this video. Of course, this video is going to be about me. But even, like, down to how much should I share? What will I feel anxious about later about sharing? There's just so many layers to this that the average person doesn't feel and think. Like when I explain these things to Elliot about the level of detail that I feel and think in every scenario, he's just mind blown. He's like, I cannot believe you go to such levels of intricacy, of detail in your mind about these things. And I'm like, I know. Neither can I. I didn't realize that nobody else, well, not nobody else, but I didn't realize that neurotypicals didn't have this. You know, I don't know. I didn't even know there was different people in terms of like brains and the way that they function. And I know that sounds redonkulous to say, but if you think about it, why would I assume everyone else's brain chemically works differently? Like I understood disabilities and I understood that there was different people, but generally I didn't understand that there could be a whole group of people. I don't know. I know that sounds absolutely naive, but anyway. See, that is the bomb. That is. I had last told you that I had changed medications, I think, to Ritalin, I want to say was my last update. Possibly not even Ritalin that I'd told you about. So I went from trying Vyvanse first, then I went to trying Dex, which is the short-acting version of Vyvanse. We played around with different like quantities and amounts and all the things, and then I was finding that I was struggling to take the Dex 3 times a day, and I was also maxing out the dose that I could take. So he suggested we try Ritalin. I didn't find any difference on Ritalin, really. I didn't notice any changes in me, so we went back to Dex for a little bit. No, did we? No, I still had Dex in my house from when we did prescribe that. And then he contemplated tablet for anxiety as well as the Dex. But we decided to go back to Vyvanse, which was crazy because when I was on Vyvanse, I felt super heightened in mood. Like it was like I was on a massive mood swing in the afternoon, and it was worse than when I was off the medication. I hated it. It was like I was possessed almost, or like I had no control over my emotions in those moments. So when he told me I had to go back on Vyvanse, I was petrified. Like, he obviously consulted me on that decision and asked for my opinion on that decision. But we came to like a happy medium where what we were going to do was integrate a dose of the dexamphetamine. I think that's what it's called, its full name. And then have the Vyvanse. And he originally suggested having the Dex as a top-up in the afternoon to curb that down mood. But I found that when I was on the Vyvanse, because it was a slow release one, it wasn't really getting me in there in the morning. So we flipped it. So we did the Dex first thing in the morning, and now I do like a Vyvanse dose at about 10. And it seems to be working, which is so nice. Excuse me. I haven't experienced the same effect when I was on Vyvanse the first time, and I think that's because it does have the Dex to sort of bring that up. It's the short acting, which means it's fast acting in my body, so it gets me up to that level, and then the Vyvanse helps me stay at that level until like 3-4ish, and then I start to notice that it's like dissipating. It's been a really successful change, and like I was really nervous about it, and now I don't have another appointment to discuss my meds for like another 3 months, I want to say. Whereas before, I was having like frequent updates, which cost a lot. Like it was like $400 every single time I would go in to have these like changes of medication. So overall, I am very excited and happy with my new dosage? I don't know. But the interesting part was being on the ADHD medication that actually worked. After about 3 weeks of that, I started to notice significant amount of symptoms that I had on my symptoms list that were not resolved by this medication. But I also felt like the medication was doing the job that it was supposed to do, and that potentially the symptoms that I was seeing on my list, and then also new symptoms that I was discovering, must have been something else. Because I was like, well, like I didn't notice some of these before when I was off medication. And so after talking to I did research into like ASD because I knew it was a thing that existed, and I wanted to see specifically, because when I previously tested a few years ago, sorry, I'm jumping all around. When I tested a few years ago, I did just a generic test, no gender specific, no age specific, and I ranked only like 5 out of 10 in that online quiz. And take it with a bar of soap or a grain of salt, because actually understanding what that question means in everyday life to how I read it and perceived the question to mean were 2 different things. 2 different things. So then when I re-looked into ASD, it would have been about my birthday, like November-ish last year, I retook the test and I started to watch a lot of other people's content who had been like diagnosed AuDHD specifically, but also ASD. It was like someone was putting a mirror to my face. Most of them had studied some kind of acting, which was insane, and pursued some kind of career in that, which is exactly what I did. Just the similarities in their stories and their accounts of school and teacher feedback and all of the things, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. But the part of it that was the most concerning and made me really switch into this to like get it resolved or have answers was the physical repercussions this was having on me, and the regressions, I guess you could say, of certain skills that I had learnt in life that I'm now no longer able to successfully do and have, if that makes any kind of sense. So, excuse me, one of those, oh fuck, I've still got ice cream. Hold on, it's foaming up. No! It's like soup. I'm gonna have to drink it like a milkshake. Only crunchy. That is a big no. Even though I know that's essentially a milkshake, it's not the thing that it is. And that is not enjoyable. Now I forgot what I was saying. The physical changes and things, yeah. So, originally I had put it down to COVID because it was around that time that I started to notice the decline. So there was 3, possibly a few more major changes that I noticed about myself. Number 1, my ability to communicate with other people effectively. And by that I mean having the confidence to speak. I was starting to stutter. I was unable to access the words, and I'm still like this, like even in videos where I'm not talking to people, I still experience this, which never used to happen years ago. Like, it would happen occasionally and I would have that sort of moment to like process and think about what the word was that I was trying to find, as everybody does. But now it's happening in almost every single sentence that I have, unless it's an exact story that I know and I can relay. If it's something where I'm on the fly or off the cuff talking about something and trying to figure out a way to explain that to someone, especially knowing now how I can sometimes be perceived or come off as blunt and insensitive sometimes, or certain things like that. That's what plays on my mind when I'm trying to talk to people. So then I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about my tone. I'm thinking about what I'm trying to articulate to them. And sometimes I'm lost in what I'm trying to even say and talk about, and then I lose my place in what I'm thinking about, and I forget what I'm saying. So there's a multitude of reasons that collates to this problem. But I honestly put it down to just the lack of interactions with people through COVID. But no, turns out it's autism. It's not everyone's autism. There's a saying that, like, if you've met one autistic person, you've only met one autistic person. Everyone is different, and I do truly believe that this problem I'm having is a symptom of my undiagnosed autism. So there was that. There was my significant mood shifts and changes. I actually considered bipolar for a little bit, because I would oftentimes be really happy with my life and I would know there's nothing wrong with it, and then all of a sudden I would just have horrible thoughts, and I'm gonna just call it horrible thoughts, and these would both exist in the same day. And I knew it wasn't depression. I could feel that the cloud that they talk about with depression, all of the elements of my life are impeccably perfect. Like, I could not fantasize a better life for myself. But then I, at the same time, feel as though I just can't explain this incredible pain of existing, essentially. I don't want to cry in this video, and I'm refusing to let you do that. And then the third physical change, or like shift that I noticed was, or like digression or regression I should say, was like my physical things, eye twitching, stomach issues, like a lot of like reflux issues and things like that, and memory loss. All of these physical, or like, I guess memory loss isn't really physical, but it kind of is because it's your brain. Anyway, all of these put together, like my eye twitching, it's not happening right now. It would happen once to twice a week a few years ago, and now it's happening a few times a day. And when I'm extra heightened or feeling that pressure and stress more, it happens every single conversation that I have with someone. Even when I'm thinking of what I have to do in that day, like if I'm thinking about, okay, Katie, we've got to go have a shower, we've got to do this thing, we've got to do this, don't forget to do that, my eye will start to flutter and just like not stop. Yeah, they were the 3 major regressions. That's why I was like, I need to know what's going on. So yeah, I did research ASD, and then I started to introduce the idea of those things to my psychologist and then my psychiatrist at my next appointment. Both of the people were not qualified to diagnose, and said that to me as well. They were like, this is just suspicions, I can't like say anything for sure, but both of them said, in my professional opinion, would encourage you to go and seek a formal diagnosis and have the test done. So then, especially because my psychiatrist was concerned about the lack of language, or like the loss of language and things like that, he was like, I really want you to consider that, to like get tested for that so we can know how to help you moving forwards and stuff, which is great that I have him advocating that to me. But it's also terrifying. Don't fucking cry. It's terrifying when he validated that to me, that that's like a major worry. Fuck. We are not gonna cry again. Nope. Yeah, it's just like a whole other angle on the situation, I guess, and like one that has gone to medical school and knows things. So I have booked in, I should say, to a place that my psychologist knew about, and she was like, waitlist shouldn't be too long, and I think it's like 3 months when I booked it. So that's coming up in a couple of months. It's going to cost a lot of money. I think she said it was like going to be $400 or something like that, or maybe $300 and something for the first initial consult. And then from that consult, they then decide what testing is required and necessary from that point on, and then that impacts the quote that they will give moving forwards. But she said it could be anywhere from, I think she said 2,700 to like $4,000 or something crazy like that. It was definitely higher than I had anticipated. But I also know that like language is so important, and support moving forward, like, I don't want to cry. Having autism and knowing that that is something that it will not change for the rest of my life, I will have this disability, is confronting. And to think that I won't have support, and I know I can find support without the formal diagnosis, but the formal diagnosis will help me understand the severity of my disability, and also just like in what areas I need the most help. And then that will help me access other professionals, and this person who's going to be diagnosing me will refer me on to people. So it's just about connections and the benefit of the diagnosis for me personally, you know, and not to mention having this formal diagnosis could potentially help me access funding to help afford those things, because it is such an expensive process. Like the amount of money I've spent so far between myself and Darcy's appointments is just astronomical. And I'm just so grateful we're in a position where we can afford to do that. And I know that that's a privilege to have that. Moving forward, to get the formal diagnosis could potentially help me alleviate that financial pressure and access those services. But it could also help my kids in any future diagnosis process that they may go through. So it has been a big 6 months. I think it's been about 6 months since I last updated you guys. And to be honest with you, I feel further in the process, but I also feel like I'm still at the start of it, if that makes sense. Like it's just, the moment that I was validated in my suspicions of ASD, it felt like this like finish line moment of like, fuck yes, we've got there. We know what's going on. But at the same time, it just felt like that was just leg one of this marathon. So it is stressful. It's stressful and overwhelming to think what else is to come on this journey. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's fucking a lot. I genuinely believe that I would not be in this spot right now of this revelation and this incredible progress that I've had without the amazingly beautiful, vulnerable women who have been posting content so far. I think I found about 3 to 4 accounts or people and women with AuDHD that just between the 4 of them, I managed to compile enough of a portfolio, I guess, or like examples of like, oh my God, this is me. And it just really helped assist me in unlocking those memories that I didn't even think about, especially with my processing and understanding certain examples of my life, and even knowing what's ADHD, what's ASD that I do in my life. And yeah, just sort of the breakdown of all of those and examples that I would have thought was just neurotypical people things, but come to find out from these accounts, like that's not neurotypical. I will link them below if I can find their accounts. I think one of them was Princess and the Pea pod or something like that. There was a few people, incredible people, so I will link them below. But yeah, just know you're not alone if you are also going through this, because I can tell you I felt like the most isolated, lonely person going through it. And if I can help in any way someone else to feel less alone, I will do that. And it's also, like I've mentioned in the past, partly selfish to document this too, because it's helping me track the timings of things and really document this process. I'm actually really full. I've tried my best, but I've also been talking while I'm eating, and I often find that the longer I obviously take to eat, as with everybody, the more full you get, or the quicker it feels that you get full, but really it's just the same amount of time, just not eating consistently in that time. Whoa! I need to turn the engine on. I am boiling. It is 28 degrees today and I'm sitting in a cooker. I have had the most incredible support from Elle. Like, he has backed me at every corner. He's helped me to consider situations or examples that may need to be addressed, or like that I may want to address with my team or whatever. He's had no judgment towards me, only support, and he's just honestly taken on so much more of the workload while I process and deal with this. And that has been a game changer, because they often say, or like, so I've seen on socials, they say that the way to combat autistic burnout is to reduce the amount of expectations of you, like switching off alarms in the morning and, reducing your plate of responsibilities. So that makes sense. What's flashing? Oh, you're about to get really hot. While I've been sat in the lovely, cool, shaded part of the car, the camera's in the direct sun. So we're gonna have to wrap this up, otherwise my camera might explode. That was an intensely massive info dump to you. So I don't know how informative that was for you or enjoyable. Please let me know in the comments. Or if you didn't enjoy it, instead of just not saying anything because you don't want to leave hate, please let me know in a nice way how you would better like it to be delivered, like the content, because yeah, definitely open to feedback for sure. Overall though, to summarize this little update, I'm feeling hopeful, and I think that's the biggest word that I have right now. Without hope, we have nothing. There's been times where I've felt hopeless, and I finally have been given the gift back of hope again. I'm trying my best to maintain my responsibilities to the best that I can, but as always, just bear with me. Please let me know in the comments if you have any other suggestions of content that you would like to see from me, particularly in the neurodivergence space, or yeah, maybe more vlogs, I don't know. Let me know. And yeah, sending you so much love if you are experiencing any of this that I've mentioned today. I'll put some resources below that you can reach out to if you are feeling like you need to talk to someone. It has been such a heavy topic today. Sending you guys so much love, and I'll catch up with you really soon. Bye.